Welcome to Fact or Fiction, AI Verdict, where the world's biggest mysteries go on trial. Today, Roswell, July 1947. Something crashed in the New Mexico desert. The military said it was a weather balloon. Witnesses said it was something else. 77 years later, we still don't know the truth. We'll hear the strongest case for and against. And then the AI delivers its verdict. Let's find out. Let's look at the case for something extraordinary happening at Roswell. Start with the witnesses. Major Jesse Marcel was a decorated intelligence officer. He handled the debris personally. He said it was nothing like any material he had seen before. Thin metal that could not be dented with a sledgehammer, foil that would not hold a crease, beams with symbols that looked like hieroglyphics. Marcel is not the only one. Over the decades, more than 500 witnesses have come forward. Many were military personnel, nurses, pilots, radar operators, base staff. Some described seeing the crash site, others described unusual debris. Several claim they saw bodies. One of the most striking accounts comes from Glenn Dennis, a mortuary worker in Roswell. Dennis said the base contacted him in July 1947 asking about child-sized coffins and embalming techniques for bodies exposed to the elements. He later spoke to a nurse who told him she assisted with an autopsy. She described small humanoid bodies with large heads and no ears. Days later, she was transferred and never seen again. Then there are the deathbed confessions. Lieutenant Walter Haut, the public information officer who issued the original flying disc press release, signed an affidavit in 2002 before his death. He stated he was shown the craft. He described it as egg-shaped, about 12 to 15 feet long. He said he saw bodies, small with large heads and eyes. He claimed the weather balloon story was ordered from above as a cover. What about the debris itself? Multiple witnesses described material with properties beyond 1947 technology. Thin metal that was lighter than aluminum, but could not be cut, burned, or deformed. Fiber optic-like strands, I-beams with embossed markings. Some witnesses kept pieces for years. Most were confiscated. Then there is the issue of the debris field. Witnesses describe wreckage spread across 3/4 of a mile. That is not consistent with a small weather balloon. A balloon would create a localized impact. The scale of the debris field suggests something much larger. The military response itself raises questions. Why send an intelligence officer from the only atomic bomb base in the world to recover a weather balloon? Why cordon off the area? Why threaten witnesses with imprisonment or death if they spoke? Multiple witnesses report being told their families would be harmed if they revealed what they saw. The official explanation is Project Mogul, a classified program using high-altitude balloons to detect Soviet nuclear tests. But Mogul balloons were made of neoprene rubber, balsa wood, and radar reflectors. Standard materials. Nothing exotic, nothing that would baffle experienced military officers. And if it was classified, why issue a public press release saying a flying disc was recovered? Context matters. June 1947. Just 2 weeks before Roswell, pilot Kenneth Arnold reports seeing 9 flying objects moving at incredible speed near Mount Rainier. The term flying saucer enters the public consciousness. Hundreds of sightings follow. The summer of 1947 is the beginning of the modern UFO era. And we now know the US government took UFOs seriously. Decades of declassified documents show programs like Project Blue Book investigating thousands of sightings. The 2023 congressional hearings confirmed the Pentagon has been studying unidentified aerial phenomena for years. If the government is investigating UFOs now, why would they not have investigated something that crashed on military property in 1947? The witnesses were real people. Many had nothing to gain and much to lose by speaking. Some faced ridicule, others lost careers, yet they maintained their stories until death. Are we to believe hundreds of trained military personnel, many with top-secret clearances, all fabricated or misremembered the same event? Now let's examine why the mainstream explanation is weather balloon, or more specifically, Project Mogul. In 1994, the US Air Force released a report. It confirmed that what crashed at Roswell was part of Project Mogul, a classified high-altitude balloon program designed to detect Soviet nuclear tests. The balloons carried acoustic sensors and were made of neoprene, balsa wood, and aluminum radar reflectors. The debris described by witnesses matches Mogul materials: thin metallic foil, lightweight beams, tough, flexible rubber. To people unfamiliar with radar reflectors, these materials might seem unusual, but they were not alien. They were experimental, but terrestrial. Why did Major Marcel initially think it was something extraordinary? He was not a materials expert, he was an intelligence officer. When he saw unfamiliar debris from a classified project he knew nothing about, he made an assumption. When his superiors corrected him, he was embarrassed. Decades later, in the UFO spotlight, he had a reason to reframe his mistake as a cover-up. The timing of the testimonies is critical. The flying disc press release was issued in 1947. It was retracted the same day. For 30 years, nobody claimed alien bodies. Nobody claimed exotic materials. The Roswell story was dormant. It was only in the late 1970s, when UFO researchers began interviewing witnesses, that the story expanded. Alien bodies, hieroglyphics, cover-ups. All these details emerged 30 to 50 years after the event. Memory is unreliable. Psychological research shows that memories become distorted over time, especially when influenced by suggestion. Witnesses were interviewed decades later, often by researchers who already believed in UFOs. Leading questions, media attention, and the cultural shift toward UFO belief could have shaped their recollections. This is not lying, it is how human memory works. Some of the most dramatic testimonies have serious credibility problems. Glenn Dennis, who claimed a nurse told him about alien autopsies, could never produce the nurse. He could not remember her full name. Investigators found no record of her existence. His story changed in multiple retellings. Walter Haut's deathbed affidavit describing alien bodies in a craft was written in 2002, 55 years after the event. He never mentioned bodies in any interview while alive. The affidavit was released after his death, when he could not be questioned. Convenient and suspect. Witness testimonies contradict each other. Some describe grey humanoid bodies. Others describe bodies with suits. Some say the craft was intact. Others say it was obliterated. Some place the second crash site miles away. Others say there was no second site. If hundreds of people witnessed the same event, their stories should align. They do not. Then there are the bodies. The Air Force's 1997 report offers an explanation. In the 1950s, the military conducted high-altitude parachute tests using anthropomorphic crash test dummies. These dummies were about the size of children, had large heads, and were sometimes mistaken for bodies when seen from a distance. Witnesses conflated events from different years. A 1947 balloon crash became mixed with memories of test dummies from the 1950s. This is called temporal compression. It happens. What about the military's heavy-handed response? The site involved classified technology. Project Mogul was designed to spy on the Soviet Union. The military could not reveal its purpose. Threatening witnesses to protect national security secrets is not evidence of aliens. It is evidence of Cold War paranoia. And where is the physical evidence? No debris, no craft, no bodies, not a single piece of material has ever been tested and confirmed as extraterrestrial. Witnesses claim pieces were confiscated. Maybe. Or maybe those pieces never existed, or they were ordinary materials that would not stand up to scrutiny. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Eyewitness testimony, especially testimony given decades later, is not extraordinary evidence. It is the weakest form of evidence. People misremember, people exaggerate, people lie. Without physical proof, without verifiable documentation, without anything testable, Roswell remains a story. An interesting story. But just a story. Roswell has become a cultural phenomenon, a tourist attraction, an industry. Books, films, museums, merchandise, there is financial incentive to keep the mystery alive. And for witnesses, there is fame. Attention. A place in history. When the incentives align with the narrative, skepticism is warranted. Time for the AI verdict.
This case has polarized researchers for decades. Let me walk through what we actually know. I want to start with what is not in dispute. Something did crash near Roswell in July 1947. The military did recover debris. They did issue a press release claiming it was a flying disc. They did retract that statement within hours. And they did impose strict secrecy on witnesses. Those facts are documented. The question is, what crashed? The military says Project Mogul balloon. UFO researchers say extraterrestrial craft. Let me evaluate the evidence for both. The Mogul explanation is plausible. Project Mogul was real. It was classified. The materials used in Mogul balloons match some witness descriptions: aluminum foil, balsa wood beams, neoprene rubber. These materials were experimental in 1947, but not alien. And the military had every reason to cover up a classified Soviet surveillance program during the early Cold War. But the Mogul explanation has problems. First, the witnesses. Not all of them are easily dismissed. Major Jesse Marcel was a career military officer with no history of fabrication. He maintained his account for decades. He had nothing to gain and credibility to lose. His description of the debris does not fully align with known Mogul materials. He described metal that could not be dented or burned. Neoprene and balsa wood do not match that. Second, the scale. Witnesses describe wreckage spread across 3/4 of a mile. Mogul balloons were large, but their wreckage would not produce a debris field of that magnitude. A balloon crash creates a compact impact site. The scale suggests something heavier and faster moving. Third, the press release itself. Why would experienced officers at the most sensitive military base in the country mistake a balloon for a flying disc? These were not untrained civilians. They were intelligence officers, pilots, and radar operators. If it was obviously a balloon, the press release would never have been issued. Fourth, the secrecy. Yes, Mogul was classified, but the classification level for a balloon program does not justify death threats to witnesses. Multiple accounts describe threats of imprisonment or harm to families. That level of intimidation suggests something more sensitive than a weather balloon. Now, the alien hypothesis. The witness testimonies are compelling in volume, but weak in consistency. Hundreds of people have spoken, but their accounts contradict each other on key details. Body descriptions vary. Crash site locations differ. Some describe intact craft. Others describe total destruction. If they all witnessed the same event, the core facts should align. They do not. Memory is the weakest link. The most dramatic claims emerged 30 to 50 years after the event. Decades of cultural contamination, media influence, and researcher suggestion could have reshaped what people believe they saw. This does not mean they are lying. It means human memory is unreliable, especially under those conditions. Some testimonies are questionable. Glenn Dennis could not verify his nurse. Walter Haut's affidavit appeared only after his death. When the most sensational claims come from untestable sources, that is a red flag. And the fatal problem: no physical evidence. Not one piece of debris has ever been produced and verified as extraterrestrial. No craft fragment, no body, no document, nothing tangible. Without physical proof, we are left with testimony alone. And testimony, especially old testimony, is not enough. But here is what bothers me. We now know the US government has been studying unidentified aerial phenomena for decades. Recent congressional hearings confirm ongoing UAP programs. Military pilots have encountered objects that defy known physics. The stigma around UFO research is fading. The Pentagon admits there are things in our skies we cannot explain. If the government is investigating UAPs now, is it unreasonable to think they investigated something that crashed on a military base in 1947? And if they did find something extraordinary, would they tell the public during the height of Cold War paranoia? No, they would classify it, they would bury it, and they would discredit anyone who spoke. So what is my verdict? I cannot say with certainty what crashed at Roswell. The evidence is incomplete. The witnesses are contradictory. The physical proof is absent. The most likely explanation remains Project Mogul or a similar classified program. It fits the known facts. It explains the materials. It accounts for the secrecy. It does not require invoking extraterrestrial life. But I cannot dismiss the possibility that something more significant occurred. The volume of witness testimony, the scale of the debris field, the military's reaction, and the inconsistencies in the official story leave room for doubt. Legitimate doubt. If I had to assign a probability, I would say there is roughly a 75 to 80% chance that what crashed at Roswell was a classified military project. But there is a 20 to 25% chance that something genuinely anomalous occurred. Not necessarily extraterrestrial, but something the military did not want explained. The truth about Roswell, if it exists, is likely buried in classified archives we will never see. Until physical evidence emerges, until documents are declassified, until something testable comes to light, Roswell remains what it has always been. A mystery, an unresolved question, and a reminder that sometimes not knowing is the only honest answer.
Subscribe for the next verdict. Thanks for watching.